This season of Area Code Batavia is brought to you by Christine Clemens, a real estate broker with App Properties Christie's International Real Estate, one of Chicagoland's most trusted brokers, helping you buy, sell, and invest in real estate. For more information and to see how much your home is worth, text HOME to 630-797-8421 or go to christineclemens.com or click the link in the show notes. This episode of Area Code Batavia is brought to you by Bulldog Plumbing Incorporated. For more information or to schedule an appointment, visit their website in the show notes or give them a call at 630-313-9109. Hey everybody, you're listening to Area Code Batavia, a podcast about what it means to belong in Batavia, Illinois. I'm Richard Clark. As you know, every week we share a list of recommended businesses that make Area Code Batavia possible. These are businesses that are more than just sponsors. They're invested in our community and share our vision for a vibrant, connected Batavia. They include Christine Clemens at Properties Christie's International Real Estate, Bulldog Plumbing, Bogie Bikes, Windmill Grill, Dragonfly Senior Navigation Services, 212 Degrees Construction Group, Tyler Nelson Country Financial, and Plimsoll Marketing Agency. You can find out more information in the show notes and let them know that you heard about them here. The idea behind the Batavia Creamery is not that complicated.
We do shakes and malts and cakes and, all sorts of things.
In theory, it's a simple idea, but some of the simplest ideas are also the most meaningful. That's especially the case for Batavia Creamery's owner, Kirk Jansons.
To me, this has been my life for a long time.
Yeah.
I've been doing ice cream for plus 30 years now. The creamery's been here officially since December of 2006.
Look, in theory, anyone can sell ice cream. It's one of the few things that nearly everyone likes, but it takes a particular kind of person to create a space that has such a consistent, substantial presence in the community. But it wasn't always this way.
I've been here since 91.
Okay.
And in the same space, this used to be a Baskin Robbins. I was a franchisee for 15 years. I got into it through my parents. I was 21. And my parents had a franchise of Baskin Robbins in Naperville, where I grew up.
Yeah.
An opportunity came up here. This one became available. They asked, "Hey, do you want to get in the business?" And I'm like, "Let's do it." And so, being 21, I didn't have exactly a large credit line, so I became partners with my parents, and I bought them out basically as time went on, and the franchise agreement went on, and then I did 3 agreements with Baskin Robbins, and then started my own thing.
Kirk, working off of a foundation built by his parents, took the baton and ran with it, creating what we all now know as a Batavia staple. It's the kind of place everyone loves. But even more than that, we take its presence for granted. If it weren't there, we'd probably kind of freak out a little bit. I wanted to talk to Kurt about creating a place like that, the place with that kind of status, and find out exactly how important a trivial thing like ice cream can be to a community.
It's always been, a family experience, whether it's an older couple coming in, a young couple coming in, teenagers on a date.
Right.
It's usually some sort of little occasion or celebration or meeting. I think I've always loved that part of what I do.
The family part.
The family part,
together.
and more so, you are bringing something to somebody that their day might be a better day now. People want, certain things.
Yeah.
And ice cream has been something that's always been a go-to, I think.
Yeah. So you have families come in, but ice cream, it sounds like, was a big part of your family growing up.
Well, for sure. I am first American born.
Okay.
My parents are both immigrated here.
Oh, interesting. From where?
Germany and Latvia.
Okay.
My parents, my dad was a bus driver. My mom was an Avon lady. And they were not college educated. And they, were doing a job. They wanted to do something themselves. Our neighbors had a franchise, Baskin Robbins in Aurora. I don't know exactly where.
Okay.
And they were a Filipino couple, also immigrated here.
Yeah.
And they got into it. And so when I was 9 years old and they started up a store while still having their own jobs.
That must have been an exciting thing for a 9-year-old. For your parents to have literally own or be like manage an ice cream store.
Yes. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
No, it was definitely cool. But I think what also comes to knowledge of anyone that's had their own business is balancing family and business.
Yeah.
And that is an ever challenging thing to do.
Yeah.
I've tried to do the best I can.
Yeah.
It is hard because, you can't just click a button and have the business work on its own.
Right.
You need the right people here, the right processes in place. And I'm lucky that I've found great people over the years. But it's also a challenge where I don't, I'm not home all the time. I'm not working from home. I can't call this one in.
Yep. You remember that as a 9-year-old?
I remember that. Well, I remember that just growing up because it took precedence on a lot of things. Holidays.
Yeah.
Christmases. Yes, we had our own Christmas, but also we had a business that was cranking out Yule logs.
Peak ice cream
and
hours.
Well, not necessarily, but it's like desserts and cakes and stuff.
Yeah.
And I saw the background of the hard work it took, and I saw what my parents sacrificed, and I knew what I was getting into.
Yeah.
But I also saw the freedom of it, that once the shop got up and running, they stopped doing Avon. They stopped doing Greyhounds.
Yeah.
And because I think they knew they'd had to pay attention to that more. And the more you're involved with it, the more success I think you'll have.
Yeah, it's interesting. We all take for granted our summer vacations. You can't really do that.
Vacationing is a challenge.
Yeah.
Whether it's any time of the year, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You don't get your paid 2 weeks off. You have to have the right people in place, the right things in place in case the water pipe bursts or the freezer breaks down or whatever it is. But yes, it's not the normal vacationing for me.
Yeah. Can you describe the first time you felt like you belonged in Batavia?
So I would have to honestly say maybe in the late 90s, maybe about 8-9 years afterwards. And I would overhear people talking, oh, it's by the Baskin Robbins. Oh, it's by this. I was becoming more of a staple where
a landmark
type of thing. And that wasn't right away with the creamery, because when I switched, this bridge was getting redone in 2007.
Yeah.
So it took a year and a half of that was my first year and a half of business.
Interesting.
Which was really tough.
Yeah.
But
so
then,
2 days ago, there was some construction on the bridge. That must be triggering things for you.
The bridge was gone.
It was gone completely. The bridge was gone during this time?
So it was shut down, hit or miss, because they were trying. Initially, I think the thought was that they were going to try to do one side and then the other side.
Okay.
And then it was shut down intermittently between it, but no one knew when it was going to be shut down.
I see.
It might be shut down for a day or a week or a month
or
a half day or whatever. So I wish in hindsight they would have just taken it all out and got it done.
Yeah.
Because it took a long time of that to be done.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge.
Yeah.
But once the bridge was done, things started picking up, and it actually gave me time to learn a little bit. I had marketing ideas, I had things, but I started to put things in processes and working it out, and suppliers and working that out. So that was kind of a very stressful time.
Yeah.
But then a couple of years later, I hear the same thing. Oh, it's by the creamery. Where's that Mexican place? Oh, it's by the creamery.
Yeah.
Oh, where do you want to meet? Let's meet at the creamery.
So it's that feeling of like, the thing that helps you feel like you belong is that thing of like, you're a landmark in the town that people sort of...
A landmark in a town, but also I've made a lot of relationships with people here.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't live in town. I've seen lots of businesses come and lots of businesses go.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that Batavia is where it's at right now because it wasn't always like that. So I would say the eclectic groupings of businesses are great.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I remember mid-90s, it was half full. For lease.
Right.
You'd see a lot of empty spaces.
Yep.
2001 hits, a lot of empty spots. Then the bridge took out people. Limestone moved.
Okay.
You know, I think they went out and then they moved after the bridge.
Yeah.
I forgot how that actually went on. So to see spaces that are filled, to see people walking downtown and enjoying whatever restaurants or shopping. That's what I thought back when I was starting here in the 90s, the potential this could be.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a one-town bridge. You're never sure what's going to happen. I was just trying to run a good business.
Yeah.
And I've seen lots of things develop and not work out or work out. Like Limestone's worked out really good. I love what Batavia's done, like the Main Street, the Chamber, you know, the city. I think they've really tried to incubate businesses like these little businesses over here.
Yeah. Boardwalk shops.
Great idea.
Yeah.
You know, hey, you want to try a business? Hey, let's try it out for a.
Does that result in more business for you?
You know what? I think if you bring more people downtown, it's good for downtown, period.
Yeah.
Do people use our parking lot for the farmer's market, for Limestone, for other things? Yes, they do.
Totally. Yeah.
But, you know, to me, it'll come back around.
Yeah.
I'm a very in and out type of business. You're here for 10 minutes, you're out.
Yeah.
Same with like the coffee shop or other places. So I think I'm just happy with more businesses downtown. I rather have the problem having not enough parking than too much parking.
Yeah. And when that is happening, there's also a lot of walking traffic and a lot of kids going, can we please? Can we please? I've experienced this so many times.
I'm a very, you know, obviously you see the ice cream, you're like, let's stop. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and I agree with that too. So I have no problem. I love it being busier than it used to be.
Yeah.
Or like when the bridge is being constructed. That was not good.
That was a big moment.
That was a big OS moment. What did I do?
Happen right after you started?
Yeah. So December of 06, my contract ended. It became Batavia Creamery. I think I want to say is March of 07, the construction began.
Did you do anything to address that problem? Like, did you do anything marketing wise or just sort of community wise to say help?
Well, the city was good in the sense of like, you know, I think they did some advertising, the Chamber, Batavia Main Street. I want to say that came around right around that time of when it was like more so for downtown, not just Batavia in general, but for downtown. Yeah. That kind of got people together really well. The city helped me a little bit just by, I didn't have to pay my electricity bill all at once. I still had to pay it, but I could defer it. So that was helpful. I was more so just trying to survive. I'm not really good at asking for help per se. Yeah. But I learned to ask for help when I need to. But I didn't then. I did for COVID. Okay. But not for the bridge. Not as much.
So talk about your COVID experience.
Whew. It's like a bad dream. I know. Right? Yeah. It's so surreal.
I'll bet. Yeah.
That I went through it and I was shut down inside for a year. And I was doing servicing outside with tables and credit cards. And that's why there was that dirt patch along the grass there because we had the lines, people going outside. And then I opened up that next winter. It was a challenge, to say the least. Yeah. I wasn't
Your face is reflecting that that's an understatement.
Oh, man. I wasn't sure what was happening. You know, I mean, come March and all of a sudden, wait, we're shutting down? What's happening? You know, so I shut down for like 3 days. My wife's like, what are we doing? I'm like, well, I got to reopen. And I talked to some staff, like, yeah, I'm fine coming in. I told her this is what we're going to do. We're going to do it outside. People order, we'll make it, we'll give it to them. And so it was kind of a slow start. Yeah. But people, I think after that month or 2 months of kind of freak out, people started to wanting to come out. Yeah. And starting to come back. But it was a down year, 2020.
This episode of Area Code Batavia is brought to you by Bulldog Plumbing. I'm not sure if you noticed, it's been raining a lot this summer, but you know who's always ready to help out in these situations. Our sponsors at Bulldog Plumbing. They're the local heroes keeping Batavia basements dry no matter how much rain we get. I've been living in Batavia for about 6 years, and we have yet to have a flooded basement. Well, except for a few times when our laundry sink overflowed. We got a sock stuck in the drain. That should be probably a cautionary tale for you. Anyway, I'm no expert, but I think the main reason we haven't had flooding from the outside is because of our sump pump. If you don't have a sump pump, you might want to consider it. Bulldog Plumbing has top-notch sump pumps and battery backups to keep your basement completely dry.
Unless, of course, you have a sock in your laundry sink. I know from experience, a flooded basement is a headache you don't need. Call Bulldog Plumbing for peace of mind, knowing your home is protected. For more information or to schedule an appointment, visit their website in the show notes or give them a call at 630-313-9109. Much of our social media video content is created by Plimsoll, a marketing agency right here in our community, specializing in design, technical, and video solutions. They've partnered with us because they're passionate about helping local businesses and organizations thrive. Plimsoll works closely with its clients to understand their needs and develop customized solutions that meet their specific goals. If you're interested in developing a new brand identity, creating a website, or producing engaging video content, check out plimsollstudio.com to see how they can bring your ideas to life.
What was the interaction like between you and the community in terms of sort of, were people aware of the challenge that it was for the creamery?
I think, which is something I don't think I mentioned before, but I think Batavia area supports downtown. They do. People want a vibrant downtown.
Yeah.
By coming downtown, spending your money here versus up on, Randall, or not that it's not Batavia, but it's, Chipotle, Starbucks. I'm not that.
A lot of chains.
I'm not this corporately owned company.
Yeah.
I am a little family joint hiring, local kids and stuff. Once the initial freak out was done, they came back and wanted to support. And what was interesting is when the 2021 happened, the election year. Wait, no, not election year. Was that election year?
2020? 2020 was the election year.
Was 2020 the election year? Or was it 20?
Yeah, because it's 2024 now.
Yes. My God. Oh, my God. So great. So, so what was interesting was that I started seeing there's a lot of eclectic people in Batavia.
Yeah.
A lot of both sides of the aisle of Batavia.
Yes.
And I saw that a lot. And I am trying to manage a business, and I got people fighting at each other about mask or no mask.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Or, you're standing too close to me and you're freaking out about nothing. And that was a challenge because,
Yeah, and people were just in general, like they were in a different headspace that, they were struggling. We were all struggling.
I think a lot of people were struggling with how to handle it. What's the best way to go forward? But then it becomes personal. Or then it becomes, and then what's happened election year, it becomes even more like, okay, whose side are you on? I'm like, well, wait a minute. Whose side? I'm like,
at
come
an
on.
ice cream place.
So I don't know. It's interesting how politics can come into things. I stay very out of all that stuff because I want everyone to come.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to serve one or the other.
Sure.
I don't care.
It's interesting you bring that up because I think ice cream is like this frivolous thing, but it seems to mean a lot to people. And I'm curious, like in Batavia, what you think something like a creamery, which this is like the only non-chain ice cream place that I know of in Batavia.
Yeah.
So what do you think that means to people for it to be here? I have ideas for my own family, but I'm curious what you think.
I think just looking at downtown Batavia, you don't see a lot of chains. There's, we got McDonald's.
Yeah.
We had Panera. Panera's gone.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of chains. And that's not that it's a bad thing or a good thing.
Yeah.
I think Batavia has its own unique personality of businesses. I think it makes people feel better when there's maybe supporting more local versus supporting Starbucks versus a Limestone or a Cold Stone or versus Batavia Creamery.
Yeah.
I'm kind of guessing. Let me ask you as a customer.
Yeah.
What do you think brings people or how they feel about coming to non-chain versus a chain?
For me, to your point about election year, it's the thing everyone can agree on for the most part. Especially now, I mean, my son's got an allergy to eggs, but you offer something that he can eat, right? And he's excited about that. I remember when he just got that diagnosis, I guess, from the doctor. And we came here like, ooh, we're going to see what we can do. And he found out that he could get something. That was a big deal for him. And like that idea that there's something that doesn't matter that much, sort of like in some people's mind, but that you can all agree on it and it brings a lot of joy to people.
feels really important right now, and especially in a town like Batavia, where people can be all over the map in terms of their beliefs, but they live so close together and they interact so much. That's my opinion.
I tell you what, I concur. I think I've always tried to go an extra step for whatever it might be. There's eggs, there's nuts, dairy.
Yeah.
You know, you're coming into an ice cream shop, you have a dairy allergy.
Yeah.
We have like flavors that are non-dairy.
Yeah.
You know, we use scoopers that are just for that person, you know, that we wash every time.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a challenge, to say the least, to get around all that, but there's ways of doing it. We try to do our best we can to accommodate and be inclusive. If you have a nut allergy kid or an egg allergy kid, it's not the same, you know, just having it from a store-bought at home versus coming in, looking at the flavors and the smelling the waffle cones and all the people enjoying it, and you're like part of it versus being, you're inside of it versus seeing it from the outside.
Totally.
So we try to be inclusive the best we can and have a great experience.
Have you had people tell you what this place means to them?
So when COVID was happening, I was one of the first places people went to, and they would tell me that.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many memories I have of things. I've been doing this for so long time, but people thanking me for being here.
Yeah.
That was like very humbling.
Yeah.
When I'm like, holy moly, I'm like, you know, I thank people all the time.
Yeah.
And I have people on the flip saying, hey, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
You know, thanks for, doing the business, which made me kind of think, well, maybe, I think a lot of people start to realize what it is to have your own business or to have businesses in your community, to have a vibrant community, what that does take. I think that was really, really hit me hard when people started thanking me. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. I'm always trying to please people.
Yeah.
Because I've always said if I can please them, make them happy, give them good product, I'm locked in.
Yeah.
If I can get you have a good time here, I'll have you back.
Yeah.
Yes, am I thinking about business? Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking about having the experience and having a good experience here.
Yeah.
I've had other places of business where I've been to, I'm like, that was not a good experience. You know, and I don't care if the food was good or if the service was good and the food was bad, but if it doesn't all jive, it doesn't leave a good taste on your mouth, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Did you ever, and let's leave the bridge thing out of it because that was a pretty unique situation right at the beginning. Other than that, did you ever question everything? Did you ever say maybe this was a bad idea?
Beyond the bridge, I don't think so. I think what I came to realize very hard was when I started having a family. I didn't get married until I was 38.
Okay.
First marriage.
And this was after you started the creamery?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And this is a few years after the bridge, getting married. I was engaged when the bridge happened.
Okay.
And then so my headspace is like, okay, now what am I, I'm going to be engaged. We're going to have kids.
Yeah.
So it's hard to not take it's hard to take the bridge out of there because
Totally.
it kind of went bridge, engagement, marriage, kids. Right. What I realized this big sacrifice is the family. I'm gone.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
I am gone more than I think I am. And trying to be present with my kids' lives. And, my kids are 12 and 14 now. I had that sense of my kids, he's going to be a freshman in high school. He's not going to be home forever.
Yeah.
And you start to realize that the most time you spend with your kids is behind you.
Yeah.
And less time is ahead of you. So now I really try to make the time worthwhile as best I can, which is struggling. If you can find great people, and I've got a great manager right now. She is awesome. Gives me that time.
Yeah.
It's the time.
Yeah.
That you don't have.
Welcome to Settling In with Christine Clements. On each installment of Settling In, we'll spend a couple of minutes diving deeper into what it means to make Batavia home with insights and advice from our title sponsor, local real estate expert Christine Clements of App Properties, Christie's International Real Estate.
This week, Christine tells us what typically draws people to the area and why people often zero in on Batavia as a place to call home.
In the Fox Valley, there are certainly different vibes, in the different communities. If you work your way from Elgin to St. Charles to Geneva, Batavia, and down into North Aurora and Aurora, they all have very different personalities and different cultures and different everything. So sometimes buyers come in and they know exactly what they want. Oftentimes they're like, I will buy anywhere in this 15-mile radius, I don't care. And then some of them are very specific, and they say, for example, I really want to be in Batavia. And if someone tells me I really want to be in Batavia, I ask some questions. Well, why do you want to be here? And some of the responses that I've gotten is it feels very laid back.
Yeah.
It feels very tight-knit, like the community cares about each other. And that's very evident in the small businesses. If you're familiar, and I know that you are, with a lot of the small businesses in Batavia, you start going there and you feel like family. You feel like friends. Like I walk into New Moon Vegan and Joe and Jay are there, and I feel so happy to see them, and I feel like they're happy to see me. And that's the type of feeling that I think people, when they move to Batavia, are hoping to have, that they are part of and not just kind of on the outskirts of the community. They want to be a part of Batavia.
Christine Clemens is a real estate broker with At Properties Christie's International Real Estate, one of Chicagoland's most trusted brokers, helping you buy, sell, and invest in real estate. For more information and to see how much your home is worth, text HOME to 630-797-8421 or go to christineclemens.com or click the link in the show notes.
It seems like if you're the child of born into an ice cream empire, you would either learn to love or hate ice cream.
I love it.
What about your kids? Where do they fall?
Love it.
They love it.
Yeah. They love when I was younger. Well, when they were younger, they still do once in a while, but I always smell like a waffle cone. So when I get home,
that's the smell for
I
sure.
smell like a waffle cone. Yeah. And when they were little, the hug was a little extra long. And I think it's because of the waffle cones.
Why is the smell of waffle cones? I
don't know.
Of all the things in an ice cream.
Baking, I don't know. I mean, I love cookies, baking. I mean, anything whenever something's baking, it just smells delicious.
Sense. Yeah.
We make the waffle cones here every day. So whether we're making it or we're not making waffle cones, it smells like waffle cones because it's permeated the walls over 30 plus years now.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
That's fine.
Yeah. But so everyone loves it. Yeah. My wife loves it.
What has owning a business in Batavia taught you about yourself?
That a lot of people rely on you. Whether it's your family or staff or customers.
Yeah.
That it's not all about you. And there's a lot more. I am a cog in a wheel, it seems. Right? But without everybody else to make it happen, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I might be the one maybe pushing it a little bit sometimes or feel like the pressure of it. But I think a lot of people rely on that are around you, make it happen. I rely on people. I have to rely on people.
Yeah.
And I rely on the community. And I'm part of the community.
Yeah.
And I've learned that I can't do it myself. And that was a hard lesson to learn, I think, for me.
That was really interesting to see you answer that question because you started at one extreme and went to the other extreme. And it became very clear that those flow from one another, that those are very related. People rely on you and you rely on people.
Yeah.
Which are different concepts, but both true.
Both true.
Yeah. And that's sort of ingrained in you at this point, it seems
like. It is, because when I first, back to the bridge again, I was my only employee for a while.
Okay.
So I opened and closed.
Yeah.
And then I hired somebody. Then I hired 2.
Yeah.
And then I hired 3. And now I've got around 25 people that work for me.
Right.
It's all mostly part-time except for my manager, but you have to relinquish some of that power of doing things the way you want things done.
Yeah.
But so I'm sorry, my brain goes in and out of a lot of things because...
No, I mean, I like that.
I'm always juggling. Yeah. I'm always juggling something, whether it be family or business. I'm always juggling.
Yeah.
But it's what I've been doing.
It seems like even talking to you before the podcast, every time we talked, it seemed like you were very activated. You know what I mean? Like even the way you explained it, juggling everything kind of explains that where you're like, I'm going to handle this and then I'm going to handle. There's a feeling like whenever you're handling something, there's another thing you're going to handle right after that.
There's 3 or 4 down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your whole life. That's not just this business, it sounds like.
It's a little ADD.
Is that what it is?
It is. It is.
That makes
I've never been
sense.
officially diagnosed, but it is a little bit. And that works for me.
Right. I was going to say, I also have ADHD.
Yeah.
And that sounds kind of nice in some ways, like peaceful. There's a peaceful element to it. I know what I'm doing now.
At times, I'm at ease with it, I guess.
Yeah.
But it can get hectic.
Yeah.
Just like life can get hectic or business can get hectic. And then when you're trying to balance the life and the business.
And when you've got to sit down and be present somewhere, it's very hard, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. And I'm trying to, and I'm looking inside. I've got a line of people for me. And I'm like,
man.
I want to like jump out and help because that's what I do.
Yeah.
Priority's always been like my business.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make my life more of a priority.
Yeah.
And that's a struggle.
Yeah, I get that. Well,
Big
let me
time.
know if you do have to bounce.
I think I'm okay.
Okay.
The girls
Okay.
are doing all right.
What has been your biggest struggle?
Balancing
Balancing
everything.
Yeah.
Balancing, finding the right people to work for me
Mm-hmm.
has been a true balance. And I've seen generations change, the youth change.
Right. And it does seem like you're sort of like, for whatever reason, you're hiring mostly teenagers, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
teenage college kids, you
Yeah.
know, if I find someone good, I usually have them through high school. And then when the summer breaks come
Yeah.
for college, I'll have them for, 6 years.
Yeah.
And that's like with my manager now.
Yeah.
She's been working with me for, my gosh, 8 years now,
Uh-huh.
but not as manager because she was going to school and stuff.
Uh-huh.
But that's the hardest is I think just balancing my life, balancing the business, finding the right people to work for you to help you to take things off your plate a little bit.
Is there something you've done with the creamery that you would do differently in other towns, but you do it like that here because you're in Batavia?
I was going to expand right before COVID into Oswego, and it was going to be a strip mall type of place, not
Okay.
downtown, not Riverwalk, nothing.
Yeah.
So I was trying to think of that stuff. I would look at it differently. I'm like in a one-town bridge here, or, one bridge town.
Yeah.
I probably would have done it differently on location-wise,
Yeah.
but the general business of it, no.
Yeah.
Customers come first, great quality products.
Yeah.
I mean, you do stuff like that, I think anywhere you'll have success. But maybe, just the way this town has been, I'm very grateful, very, very grateful for being here.
I don't know if this is valid or if this is even ends up in the interview, but like my observation is there's a very different vibe between this and the places in other like Tri-Cities towns. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And it aligns with what I always say about Batavia, which is like this, I think, more chill vibe.
I would say yes.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to say as nicely as I can.
Right.
Because we're not Geneva
Yeah.
and we're not St. Charles. And I'm really okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be.
Yeah.
I like those communities and they're nice and they have nice stuff, but the vibe here is different and the vibe of the people are different. It's more down to earth, salt of the earth, I would say.
Yeah, and for me, like the choice of whether to come in or not is easier because some of it is price, which we find it extremely accessible in those terms. Like we can, spend as little or as much as we want.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a low risk endeavor.
Agreed.
And then the other piece is like you go in and you're not feeling like you got to be quiet. It's just a different thing where you can the kids can be kids and you can hang out outside and it's just like a nice vibe.
Well, awesome. And
Yeah.
that's awesome because that's what I've been trying to go for.
Yeah.
Welcoming, come in, hang out, patio, inside, outside, walk around the river.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is that something you shot for? Like you were going for?
Oh, God.
Yeah, that is what you were going.
Oh,
you
for
just
sure.
said that.
Yeah. I mean, welcoming to everybody, just a chill space. I'm not some fancy dancy place.
Yeah.
But I have great ice cream.
It's interesting. I was going to ask, I'll ask this because I don't know if it stands to reason. Like, what was the place you hung out at or looked forward to as a kid? Was it your parents' shop or was it something else?
So I rode my bike everywhere as a kid.
Uh-huh.
And yes, the shop was part of it, but pre that was maybe like Colonial. There was a Colonial ice cream restaurant place. And I don't know if there was
Colonial Cafe?
Colonial, yeah. There used to be one in Naperville.
Yeah.
And I would ride my bike there, and there would be a little drugstore called Alton's.
Okay.
And candy, and I don't know.
Well, how did that place make you feel?
Oh, I liked the variety of candy,
Yeah.
and the ice cream was cool, and I could ride my bike there. It
Yeah.
was cool, and I was independent. But I loved that. I love that growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
You know,
do you get a lot of like independent kids walking in?
Yes, which is awesome. You know, not tons, but definitely people when they're going to go somewhere, I think their parents send them down here.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Because it's, not too far, stay on the bike path or, stay on the sidewalk, whatever
Yeah.
it might be. And yeah, for sure. I think this is like their first using money and being their own. Yeah. And I remember that as a kid, getting my dimes together, my nickels and my quarters.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to see more like they're using a credit card. I'm like, oh, that's not the same.
Yeah. Is it not?
That's not the same. No, or they have their watch and.
Right. Oh man, yeah.
It's
I
not
haven't
the
even
same.
gotten to that.
It's totally changing.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
Life changes, people change, communities change, and I think for the better.
What keeps you up at night?
Is my freezer gonna break?
Mm-hmm.
Which I have an alarm. I have a sensor in there.
Oh, smart.
It was May, I think 7th, and midnight it goes off. My phone goes off. Temperature alerts. I'm like, oh crap. So I go in there. Something's going on with my freezer. I just got that replaced.
Yeah.
And a month later, now something's going on. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I leave. My kids are in bed. My wife's in bed. I leave.
Yeah.
I didn't get back till 6 a.m. Got it fixed. Got it taken care of and stuff. But I could have lost, everything.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that alarm and if my freezer guy didn't come out and fix it.
Yeah.
And that is because if that happens, I'll be out for a while.
Yeah.
So I invest a lot to make stuff, to sell stuff. And it just happened this year, but it hasn't happened for, 8 years prior.
Yeah.
Which is great, but I know it's like, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
So that's what keeps me.
In a situation like that, other than money,
Yeah.
what's at stake?
Oh, it's just the stress of it all.
Uh-huh.
I've got people's, baptism cakes in back that I've made that are being picked up.
Baptism
or
cakes.
their
Wow.
birthday
Yeah.
cake.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And so now me going to now I got to explain, hey, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it's happened before. I didn't lose anything that night. But that's why I got the sensor.
Yeah.
Because the last time I did lose everything and I had to
Wow.
make, 20 phone calls. I'm sorry. I'm refunding money.
Oh, man.
I don't have the cake for you today.
Yeah.
So you make it work.
Yeah, that's the thing that's interesting to me about this is like, again, a lot of people think of ice cream as not that important. But when you're making 20 phone calls like that on a day like that, you realize the stuff actually matters quite a bit to people.
Oh, I'm part of people's lives, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, because people get like, if the flavor's not available that they love, what do you mean? My flavor's not in here? And I rotate flavors. Like, well, I know you rotate, but it was here last time.
This is where I bring up Rocky Road.
Yes.
This drives me nuts.
It's not here very often.
Yeah.
Rocky Road changed. It's pecans, not almonds.
Really?
Yeah, it used to be almonds. I knew Rocky Road is almonds, chocolate, marshmallow.
Yeah, same.
My guy stopped making it. I got another guy makes it. He's out of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
He uses pecans.
Okay.
But I don't always carry it.
And it brings out, it's a nostalgic thing for me. It was like my favorite growing up, and I ate it down south. I would eat it a lot.
Right.
And it would, it's just, I miss it.
You are an ice cream fan, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Fist bump on that one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, last question.
All right.
To you, what does it mean to belong in Batavia?
I feel like I'm a part of this town. I am humbled by people supporting me and thanking me for being here. I feel like it's a big family.
Yeah.
And it's like my extended family. I know so many different people here and made relationships and stuff. So just being part of it, it feels like a big family to me and my extended family.
So the family piece is a big part of belonging for you.
I think so. I mean, because, is everyone on the same page about every belief and everything? No.
Yeah.
But they're family. So I feel like I'm in a family.
What does that look like concretely?
You see that world is filled with lots of different people.
Uh-huh.
And I think we're a microcosm of that.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I mean, are we everything every city can be? No. But I think you see that wide variety of eclectic people that are here.
Yeah.
I love that.
There's that thing in a family where you grow to love people you don't agree with, you don't even necessarily like very much, but you grow to love them.
Yes.
You would go to bat for them. You'd take care of them.
Yes. So to me, I feel like I'm in a family here.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
This idea of family can conjure up a lot of different things in our minds. Familiarity, proximity, affinity, or blood ties. But I think a huge part of that feeling of family is a shared experience. There are few things that offer that anymore. And too often, our shared experiences are negative in nature, a massive storm or a community tragedy. That's why I love places like this so much, where everyone is welcome and everyone is equally excited to go. Ice cream is one of those things. Could we live without it? Sure. But would anyone want to? In the end, the Creamery offers all Batavians a small pleasure. And that's a big deal.
Thanks for listening to Area Code Batavia. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, you should absolutely subscribe to the newsletter. Not only will we let you know when a new episode is out, but you'll also receive a weekly list of 5 concrete ways to belong in Batavia. Just click the link in the show notes. Most importantly, if you know someone who would love to hear this podcast, please share it with them. Word of mouth is the best way to grow our community and help more people feel like they belong in Batavia, Illinois. Area Code Batavia is produced by Area Code Audio. It's hosted and produced by me, Richard Clark, with additional production help from Jennifer Clark. Edited and mixed by Matt Linder.